First of all, I'm David Dennis, and I was fortunate to be a Microsoft for Africa intern, which my program ended this month, which is April, and under the Azure developer track, and also partnering with Software 360 on helping customers benefit from the values that cloud, especially Microsoft Azure, has to offer to their businesses on moving customers, helping them out with the lift and shift onto the cloud, especially their infrastructure. So basically, without going too far or talking too much about myself, straight to the point, I'll be talking about managing Azure resources. Please, if you have any questions, the chat is open, or if you can't hear me, please let me know. Or if you are lost anywhere, please just let me know. Hello?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Oh,
I'll let them know.
okay. So, without any further ado, I'm talking on managing Azure resources. So, to the next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So, we all know what Azure is because if we did not know, then probably we have. In fact, we've had sessions from the beginning of the month, so I'm very certain that we all know what Azure is and cloud computing is. So straight to the point, the same way the traditional IT servers, you have your servers, you have your networking devices, your storage devices, all those are assets. So and you call them resources. So and those pertaining to Azure are what we call Azure resources. They are individual items that can be managed and are available to you on the Azure platform. You can deploy the resources, you can organize them, and you can control access to them. Who has access to to any of the resources? Who can delete? Who can create? Who can update? Who can do any configuration at all? So that's a resource. A resource is always held in a resource group. Please let's move to the next slide. Okay, so I said a resource is always held in a resource group. Why? Because it makes it easy for one to be able to manage individual resources, especially when you group them together. A resource group is a logical container as well. So if you have a department, for example, or different departments in your organization, say the finance, the dev teams, the marketing and so on, and you create individual resources, in fact multiple resources, which pertains to a particular side of the business. If you were to just leave them scattered in your Azure platform, the management will be very it won't be effective. So that's why you need the resource group to logically contain each of those resources pertaining or specific to what they are doing. So probably you can have three administrators handling different departments. So you can then segment and control the access right to each resource group as pertaining to probably the finance department or to the dev team that they want to test their product, or to the marketing team based on how you want to bring in customer feedback and then introduce into a new product and see and make another survey. So that's one of the things the resource group helps you to do. So you can choose to delete your resources by just deleting a single resource group. So basically, as I said, I'll be talking on managing Azure resources. Now, you have different ways to manage Azure resources. A lot of us have been on the platform before, so this is just like a refreshing. And some of us that have not been there, basically the same thing you do on site is the same on premise is still what you do on the cloud. The variations might just be little. So I always say this: you always have to remember what is guiding the choice of tool you want to use to make or to achieve any task, to complete any task. Number one, I always say, is automation. The second one is learning curve, and the other one is the team skill set. Now, automation, we've seen, okay, when we are in an environment where we keep doing things that are repeatedly done over and over again, especially when you're in DevOps, you find out that that is time wasting, that's resource wasting, and those hours you are wasting, if you had put it into something other than what you were doing before, you would have your productivity would have increased. So in Azure, we have tools that helps us to automate. You can use the Azure ARM template, which is the Azure Resource Manager template, for where you are doing things like infrastructure as a code. You can use your command, your CLI tools, which is Azure CLI, and then you can use your PowerShell. Now, why would I say using PowerShell or the Azure CLI rather than saying using not even mentioning the Azure portal? For example, if I'm to create a Windows VM, 10 Windows VM, it's something I can do by just writing a script and deploying it, or running that script on my PowerShell terminal, and then in few minutes I've provisioned those 10 virtual machines. But if we've been through going on the Azure portal just to create 10 virtual machines, we have to do that and do that and do that till we get to the 10th virtual machines, and then we get to rest. You can now see the difference, how much time we've been able to waste while on Azure portal, and how much time we've been able to gain to do something else while using either the CLI, Azure CLI, or the Azure PowerShell, or you running your ARM template. Now, the learning curve. For example, if some of us here, we are new to Azure and we are trying to learn and be better, the learning curve of your team, which tool do you know how to use? If, for example, your team were using we're conversant with PowerShell, and someone wants to introduce the Bash terminal, which is basically the Azure CLI uses the Bash, which one will you prefer going for? You prefer going for the PowerShell because already you have basic knowledge of the Windows PowerShell, so it's just for you to understand the Azure PowerShell modules and then use them in your commands, rather than you going to start afresh from learning the bash commands, which is which you can run on the Linux terminals. So the other one is team skill set, which still relates to learning curve. What do you have at hand? What does your team have? What existing skill set can you leverage on so that you can reduce overhead? Because these are little things that just pass us by while we are executing tasks or responsibilities every day in an organization, and at the end of the day, we don't measure how much time we've wasted. We don't measure how much resources we've wasted. We don't measure the time you are using to read up, to learn a new skill, to learn a new tool. Why don't you just leverage your initial knowledge on a previous tool that can still solve the same problem? So basically, automation, you have to look at that. You have to look at learning curve of your team, and then you have to look at learning curve of your team, the learning curve of the tool. Then you also have to look at the team skill set, what you already have on ground, and what you can leverage. So please, can we move to the next slide? Okay, so this is when you want to get started on the Azure platform. Microsoft gives you free account credited with $200 for 30 days, where you can test run, get to know more about the platform, use the tools, the services that are on it, and see how good Microsoft has been in changing the way we approach cloud. And also, so even if you are done, you exhaust your $200 credit like how most of us always do, because we are developers and we always like to test stuff. You also have access to other popular services for 12 months, and then 25 other services which are always free, but they're always rotated. So it's not like you can create a bunch of solutions together and no. So the services are always rotated for you. So then after, if you've exhausted your 200 credit, you can move to the pay as you go um, consumption type. So you just credit your account and then keep running your resources, and you only pay for what you are executing, the services you are consuming. All right. So the basic things you need for that is a Microsoft account, a phone number just to validate you are a human being, and then also your credit card also to validate your identity, not that you are a bot. All right. Thank you. Please, the next slide. So now, as I mentioned before, we want to look at what tool should you use depending on a particular scenario. So if you are on if you want to create just a single resource, probably a Windows 2016 data center virtual machine, just that alone, it's very simple. You can just go straight to your Azure portal and then you do that. Just that's the GUI. The Azure portal comes with a GUI. That's the graphical user interface, where you can just point and click on different options and you get your task done. So it's very simple. You don't need to rack your head. The UI is very friendly, the user experience is nice, and you can get to do just simple stuffs as fast as possible. But it will not be recommended when you want to create repeated resources, especially you want to create 10 different virtual machines in a particular resource group possible, but and you have to do that all at once rather than you repeating the process and the process and the process like that. So Azure portal will not help in that area, or for that scenario rather. So basically, um all you have to do is just log into your portal. So I'll just go through this slide and see how possible I could take one of the exercises, because it's actually an Azure hands-on session. So please, the next slide. Okay, so creating a resource on Azure CLI. So the Azure CLI is just a replica of um, the Bash terminal which you use on your Linux. So you could run Bash commands on your Linux. So one thing I like about Azure is this: they target everybody. So there's no one that is left behind. There's no one that they don't look at. There's no skill set that they don't put into their product line. So be you are conversant with, you're a Linux system administrator, so very well you've been using Linux commands on your terminal. So it's very easy for you to now leverage that skill, that knowledge on the Azure CLI. And what you have to do is just the Azure module commands, and you can get things running as fast as possible on the cloud. So everything is still the same. So let's move to the next slide, please. Okay, so for the Azure PowerShell, the Azure PowerShell also looks at those folks that are conversant with the Windows PowerShell command. And very, very interesting. You are not limited because Windows, your PowerShell can run on both Windows, on your Mac, and your Linux platform. So you can it's now universal. It's not just only to just Windows, because already we all know that Microsoft is already into open source, so it's for everybody now. They've allowed everyone into their platform, every skill set. So the only thing that you need to know is you have to know the Windows PowerShell commands, and it's a very, very suitable tool for automation. As far as you can even write scripts, PowerShell scripts, and run them on the PowerShell, and then they will execute. So this one, the Azure PowerShell, the Azure CLI, are very, very good tools for automation. They are very, very good tools for automation, and it saves you a lot of time. It saves you a lot of time. It buys you more time for you to do other stuff. Okay, so we'll move the process of creating just a virtual machine or a resource is still the same on the Azure CLI. The only difference is they have separate commands. They have separate commands. So you always need a base to run the Azure PowerShell. So the base is always going to be the Windows PowerShell that you already have on your system. So even if you download the Azure PowerShell, you just run it. It's using the base, the kernel, which is the Windows PowerShell. So that's that. Okay, please let's move to the next line. All right, so now this is very interesting. Azure mobile app gives us quick access to Azure resources, allowing you to check on your resource status and also be able to diagnose, look into the resource and fix any possible issues while you are on the go. It's very, very interesting because I've always figured out that what if I'm not with my system and or yeah my laptops, or I'm not in the office, I'm on transit, and probably one of my resource is consuming a lot, and my budget is I'm already going beyond my budget for that month, of which is a concern. So how do you track such an issue? Azure had to bring in, okay, let these people have a means of even being able to communicate with their resources, being able to look into their resources while they are not even remotely logging into their systems if possible, or if they don't have the access, or as far as if in fact once they are unable to use their laptops in a scenario like that which I mentioned. How can you still do that? So from my own mobile phone, from my iPhone, or from your Android mobile device, you can just log in. Once you've downloaded the app, you can just log into your Azure account, and you can see how far your resources are doing, and then you will even receive notifications on the health of those resources, even up to the extent of looking into the cost management of each resource through your resource group. So so it's something that is very, very, is wonderful that Azure has done, because I see this that they had these insights even before other cloud service providers, because I think AWS released this kind of feature, I think recently this year or very late last year. So um, kudos to Azure for this great job and opportunity that they've given to us. Please, let's move to the next slide. Okay, so this is user interface of different Azure mobile app. The one on your left is that for the should be that for the iPhone, that's the iOS, and the other one is that for the Android mobile devices. So please, it's very easy. You can navigate. You can see once you just log in, you see how you get insight on how your virtual machines or whatever resource you have is running. You can even use the cloud shell. The cloud shell is a means of providing you a terminal, a web terminal that you can use to log in, manage your resources. So once you get into the cloud shell, you have the privilege of either using the Azure CLI, which is the bash, or using Azure PowerShell, which is using PowerShell commands. So to still navigate through and diagnose and configure or delete, manipulate your resources. Please, the next slide. Okay, so this is another interesting aspect. Creating multiple resources using your Azure Resource Manager template. So the Azure Resource Manager is the first go-to service that speaks, talks, listens, and has everything to do with every resource you create on the cloud, especially when you, sorry, not generally the cloud, on Azure. So now the template is a way of you writing codes that replicates infrastructure and then deploy that code, thereby deploying the infrastructure. So basically, like other we they use data serializing languages, like which Azure is using is JSON, JavaScript object notation. So you create your object, you give it the parameters, the values, and so on, and then you deploy. So you can save your templates. You can use it to deploy in another environment. You can share it with um, with your code developer. You can host it on your repository, so that later time in the future you can still have access to it. So this is just a replica of how your components or how your infrastructure looks like, but in the code form. So some other infrastructure as a code might be using YAML, but here in Azure we use the Azure we use JavaScript object notation, which is JSON. So please, let's move to the next slide. Okay, so very interesting. As I always say, remember to clean up your resources, especially when you know they are no longer needed for that particular solution on Azure. It's something most of us forget to do, and it's something that always gets back to bite us, because I've gotten stories of a lot of people that mistakenly they just slept and woke up and saw that overnight they were consuming more than hundreds of thousands of naira in their organization, while the service, while the solution, as at that point in time, was no longer needed. Why? Because you always have to clean your house. You always have to clean your house. Always have to clean your house. So once you know this thing is not of any relevance for us, for example, you can delete your virtual machine. You can stop it from running. So if you stop it from running, the only thing Azure does is it only gets you only have to pay for your data that resides on that virtual machine. But for the running of the virtual machine, you can stop it as far as you know that server is not needed. So if you feel like I don't need it again forever, you can as well clean it up by deleting it. And very easy way for you to delete your resource all at once is just to delete it through the resource group. So you want to know, okay, all these resources that are specific to this particular solution were deployed in this singular resource group specific to them. You go ahead and then you delete that resource group. Once you delete the resource group, you've deleted every resources on that resource in that resource group rather. So it's always the best practice that you try as much as possible to clean up your house so that you can curtail your cloud expenses. So even if you say yes, it is as the cloud is pay as you go, yes, very fine, sure. But at the end of the day, if you don't do what is necessary, you might end up incurring more than you had envisaged. Thank you very much. So, um, hello.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I guess you are done with the session already.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So thank you very much for the session. I've been trying to track questions from the message. So yeah, if you have any question, please you can unmute and ask your question. I'm pretty sure we've all learned a lot from the session. So if you have any question at all, you can ask. It's time for questions.
Hello, good evening.
Yes. Yeah.
I have a question. My name is Bromumi. I have an Azure subscription, which is the developer, I guess. I'm not too sure, but not the free version. But I noticed that I don't have any instances running on my virtual environment, but I still know there's this kind of crazy bill that I still receive. I don't know because I've gone to my resource group. I don't have any storage account. I don't have any virtual machine running. So is it that do I need to go back to the free version, or do I need to stop that subscription? What can I do so that I won't be receiving crazy bill? Because currently now I'm not doing anything with that subscription. Thank you.
Okay, so you checked, because most times also the storage accounts we created, especially the first one that is always created for us, we forget about deleting them, and they also um we also have to pay for the files that are persisting on that storage account. So have you checked about that? Is
Like
it Oluwagbon?
Oluwagbonmi.
Okay, Oluwagbonmi.
Yes. So like I said, there's nothing running and I don't have any files anywhere. I've checked all over again. And this evening again, I'm still going to check because Microsoft has already sent me this, what's it called, last month bill, which the card, the smart, what's it called, the ATM card, the account I'm using, there's no money in it. So I keep receiving email for me to pay my bills. So like I said, there's nothing running. So I don't know what to do.
Okay. So I think the best thing I'll have to tell you is, since you've tried out every necessary means and you've deleted every resources on your subscription, the best thing I'll like you to ask you to do is to mail the Azure support team so that they can look into it, and then they will
Okay,
take it
thank
up
you.
from there. Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate.
Okay.
All right. So thank you for your question. Do we have any other question? Please, it's time you can unmute your mic and say your question.
Okay. I think Johnson here asks how to generate an ARM template from existing resource group. Yes, that that should be possible. Yes.
Okay, so I believe
Hello, my name is
okay.
hello.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear you. Proceed with your question.
Hello, my name is Ishmael. I have a question regarding the Azure free account creation. I've been trying to get an account, a free account, but for any time I try to use my card, it will say you are not eligible for an Azure free account. I don't know what's the problem.
Okay, if I'm getting you right, you said you want to create a free account and you've input all your details, but it still tells you you are not eligible.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so have you had a free account before?
Yeah, I tried some time ago, but it keeps showing me, it keeps displaying the same message that I'm not eligible for Azure free account. But I don't know, because the last time also I gave my card details to a friend. I don't know if he tried to use it or not.
Okay, so the thing is, once you've used your card details and your phone number and possibly your mail to get a free account and you are being given that free account, once you exhaust the $200, you are supposed to move to the pay as you go. So you won't be allowed to get another free Azure $200 credit to use the Azure platform. So it's just for a one time. Hello.
Oh, I
So
muted him.
okay, so it's just for a one-time access. It's just a one-time grant. So after that, you are supposed to move to the pay as you go. So probably your friend must have used your card details to get a free account, and so you can't use that same card in getting another free account. So I believe I've been able to answer you. It's my
Yes, yeah, thanks very much. I appreciate. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, so I think there's another question from the chat. It says, I am new to Azure. I will need some materials to read up. Is it possible for me to get from you, please?
Okay, yes, Kesta, that's possible. Um, so Azure itself is a very, very friendly platform and it has a lot of documentation. So thank you very much. I think Olumide has dropped something on the group, so on the chat. So it has a lot of documentations that you can go through and a lot of quick starter projects that you can go through, and in less than 3 weeks 1 month you should be conversant with the Azure fundamentals, and then you can take it up from there by looking into any other learning path that can um, help you acquire specific skills, probably as a solution architect, as a data engineer, or as a cloud Azure consultant, something like that. You can it has a broad career path that you can leverage based on the documentations that has been provided about the platform. So it's it's something that is very, very easy for you to learn and acquire the skills within a little or short period of time. So,
Yeah, thank you. I think I should also add that Microsoft have partnered with Plural sites. So all
yes,
the Microsoft courses on Plural site are free. So I have the link now. So that's the link. You can go there and take any course on Azure, and they are all free
yes.
also.
And we also have a community rather. So
Yeah.
especially this one you have there, so you can leverage on the people, you can ask questions, you have feedback as fast as possible. I assure you that.
Yeah. So yeah, does anyone have any other question so we can tackle this also before we end the session?
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good evening. We can hear you.
Yeah, my name is Toby. Yeah, although I'm new to Azure, but about PowerShell, about this PowerShell, is it not for, as I try to study this PowerShell, I guess as much that it's for developers, app developers, because it involves codings and everything. So if you are not that good in coding of a thing, is that PowerShell being useful much for you or than this Azure portal? Which one is preferable?
Okay, thank you very much, Toby. So, you see, that's why I also mentioned what we call the learning curve, and as regards the tool and as regards your own previous knowledge or your previous skill. So, so are you a developer or are you into more of the sales marketing side? Hello, Toby.
Yes, last
You said,
call.
I can't hear you. You said?
I said, are you a developer or are you into which other area of business are you into in the cloud?
Yeah, I'm not into developing aspect, as in coding aspect at all.
Okay.
That's why I'm
Okay.
saying this PowerShell. As I'm studying this PowerShell, it involves coding, or it
Okay.
doesn't.
I get you now. I get you. So probably
You get what I'm trying to say?
yes,
What
yes,
about those who don't have any special knowledge in coding? You get what I'm trying to say in coding
yes,
and everything.
yes.
You want to develop a VM, as you said that if you want to set up like 10 VM at the same time, instead of going through Azure portal, you can do that through PowerShell by putting in your scripts and everything. Is it not the
Yes.
coding aspect you are talking about?
Okay. So
What
you
about
do.
those people who are not specialized in that coding aspect? That's what I'm asking.
Okay. So thank you very much.
Can I
Now,
can I add
oh,
something?
yeah, you can. You can.
Okay. Like what you're saying, let's say you're in a production environment, you need to use, for instance, something like ARM template or PowerShell. But the question is that like Dennis said that Microsoft have different possibility for anybody to create a resource in Azure. So,
Yes.
but then some things, say some resources cannot be created by using ARM templates. You only have to use the GUI interface. Just
Okay.
yeah. So in your own case, say you want to create 10 visual machine, you, PowerShell will
Okay.
help you a lot in doing that. Even preferable, you should use ARM templating. So for instance, if you
Okay.
create say one visual machine on the Azure cloud, on the back end, if you go on under deployment, if you click on deployment, you will see the raw code, the raw templates, the raw code, what
Okay.
Microsoft did for you.
Okay.
And you can download it and
Okay.
use it as your benchmark.
Okay.
So I'm saying it's PowerShell
Okay.
helps you a lot. It helps you a lot.
Okay.
It's easy to
Okay.
understand and straightforward. So I think
Okay.
next time we have to give a lecture on PowerShell and how to deploy how to
Okay.
express beginner's knowledge on PowerShell. It's really easy. It's really easy to use.
I
Just
will like to
syntax.
have a lecture on that. I will have a lecture. All
Okay,
right.
we
I
can
get
set
what
one
you're
up.
saying. All right. All right.
Okay. So thank you very
Yeah.
much. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so I think there are some other questions from the chat. So someone is saying, good evening. I have a question. I have just exhausted my $200 free account. How will I remove the account to stop further charges?
Yes. I mean.
Well, the when the $200 is exhausted means there's no charge on him. He just bonds off the $200. So technically, there's no subscription tied to that because it's a free account. So I don't know if he linked if they asked him of his credit card, which I think it is not possible. But recently, I think yes. even if to use the $200, I heard that you first have to add your credit card. I heard it, but I don't use this free
Yes,
subscription.
yes, yes.
But I heard somebody told it to me last week, and I was like surprised.
Okay. Okay. So the thing is, just to add to what CJ has said, uh, in any event, Microsoft or Azure will not get any dime out of your account without prompting you. So even once you are done with the free $200 credit on your account,
Okay.
you will receive a message or a mail notifying you that you've exhausted that and you can now move to the pay as you go subscription. And if you accept to go ahead, then you'll be prompted to now put in your card details, and you'll be alerted that okay, from now on there will be deductions from your bank account. So by default, once you have exhausted your $200 free credits, Microsoft is not charging you. That account just becomes a zero account. So it's either you delete it or you move ahead to the pay as you go based on the notification you are going to get from Microsoft Azure. So Johnson here says, would I use the same approach based on resource group to manage my hands, PaaS as well as SaaS resources? So um, resources are just like the atomic feature on the Azure platform. So each resource group holds individual resources that pertains to a particular solution you are trying to solve. So if you are trying to solve you are trying to solve a problem, or you have a solution that is IaaS related, which is infrastructure as a service related, you are yes, you can have resources logically in specific resource group meant for that purpose. So the same thing applies to the PaaS and the same thing applies to software as a service resource that you have. So resource group is meant to hold individual resources together, just be able to manage them well. So you can manipulate, you can update, you can create, you can delete the resource. You can look into it. You can specify access rights. Who has access? Who has rights to a particular resource in a particular resource group through the resource group rather. So you can even have insights into how your resources are doing based on different solutions. Say, for example, you want to know how your infrastructure is doing. You want to know how your web services are doing. You want to know how your software as a service services are doing. So if you have different free resource group meant for each of those purposes, then you can now look into one resource group, see how broad idea of what is going on there, and be able to manage those services to the best. So, thank you. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you for answering these questions. I think we exhausted all the questions we have so far, and Johnson just replied. I think he's okay with your response. So, is there any other final question before we end our session for today? Any other question?
Hello.
Yes, hi.
Okay. Good evening. Well done, Olumide.
Yeah, thank you.
Another nice class. I was privileged to be on your first class, and congratulations on your interview being published on Twitter. I
Thank you
was
very much.
privileged to actually, I was privileged to talk about you almost all night into early hours of this morning with somebody, and I really appreciate what young chaps like you are doing. That's the truth. Let me quickly say this because I'm one of the people that are really, really been on top of my voice regarding Microsoft accounts. that we can just demo with. In fact, if there is anything, that's actually the level where I am. I'm stalked. And I realized that you can't go ahead and open a free account anymore. In fact, once you get to the stage where you are expected to add your card, if you cannot, you can't even proceed. Mine was not only that I cannot proceed, even when I was ready to add my card, continuously it was being declined to the point that I have to create a ticket, and I've been getting follow-up, but my issue was still not resolved. You understand? I do know that you will not be debited immediately, but you must still add your card. And in a situation like that, it's really, really discouraging. You can't just be learning, and you can't have an hands-on practical on what you're actually learning. So that's actually difficult for me. And I don't know, maybe Paul is on this call. Maybe this could be like a feedback. I stumbled on the Huawei talent training platform, and I've been doing a lot of demo learning on their platform and all that through an hint I got from Ericsson. And I realized that Huawei at the moment have their own cloud, even though they require you to add your card too. But guys, let me surprise you that as soon as you add your card on Huawei cloud, you have a total $3,000 worth of free account users, as in resources, as in things you can do for free for the first 1 year. I don't ever see how I can exhaust that, even if I'm deploying live services. You understand? I don't know. And I'm sure all of us know that's actually a big competition. Big one. So, Paul, we are still asking for. Did you hear that, Olumide, or maybe it's Paul that can respond to that?
Yeah. I think Paul is currently not available on this call.
Paul is not on the call. Oh, okay. What of CJ? I heard his voice earlier. Is he still on the call?
Yes.
I'm still on the call.
Good evening, CJ. Thanks
good
so
evening.
much.
Good evening. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, CJ. Thanks.
Good. So I think the current reason why you cannot use a free, say for instance, you let you go and let you, if you say you want to create a new complete email to get another $200 free credit, it's not possible. But I think
no, not that, CJ. Can you hear me?
I understand what you mean. I'm just trying to come to you want a subscription that will easily allow you to try out things and build things, right? Without paying anything in the Azure cloud, right?
No.
Okay.
Normally,
Yeah, can I come in?
Normally, CJ. Okay, Paul is here. Normally, CJ, when you're opening an Azure free account, you are not ordinarily going to be prompted to add your card. You'll be able to proceed and open that account successfully. Or even if I thought you are prompted to add your card, they won't charge you.
Yeah, because they won't charge. The charge is at the end of the month based on what you use. See, if you have a pay-as-you-go account, pay-as-you-go subscription. So I don't use the free account.